Now, Jidechi Chidieze, I bring you into this conversation at this time. Surprises? Nigeria still retained their position. Kenya from nowhere, even after that stellar performance from the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, they moved 6 places up. And other African countries, Tunisia, Cote d'Ivoire, Algeria, Egypt, all moved 5 places, but Nigeria still retained their spot. Surprise?
I wouldn't say it particularly comes as a surprise, considering the teams Nigeria played are not teams that are usually very high up the FIFA rankings. I think one of the ways these rankings are calculated is when you get to perform very well against teams that are ranked really high above on the rankings. And for Nigeria, we had 2 games against, well, we would call them minnow nations. You play Liberia, not Liberia, Rwanda and then you play Benin Republic.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much an expected home victory against Benin Republic. I mean, the news would have been if Nigeria had lost or say drawn at home against Benin Republic. And going away at Rwanda, Nigeria played out a goalless draw, not really a performance that you would say should impact the country's ranking. So I would say I'm particularly not surprised. If anything, there's no major tournaments by the corner that we would say the rankings might have affected how it would have been seeded. So yeah, it's just one of those things where the ranking takes its course because perhaps we didn't play the very big teams that you would perform greatly against.
All right, but looking at other movers in the world, the top 10, they also retain all their positions, no move at all, even with the Nations League ongoing, of course, for the international break. Do you expect any move atop the table from the top 10 in the world? We have Argentina, France, England. We've got Spain and Brazil occupying the top 5 position. Belgium also is in the top 10 as we speak right now. Germany also. Did you expect any move? They all retain their position in top 10.
I mean, pretty much, this is just a qualifier season. When we usually get to see those big moves for the FIFA rankings, it's when we have the major competitions. And like I mentioned earlier, the other time would be maybe when you play someone who is ranked way higher above you and you perform greatly against them. So during this period where teams just come around for 1 or 2 games to have a qualifiers match, I mean, results do not really have an impact during this point in the year. When the results really are taken into consideration is when these teams go into a longer span competition. You know, competitions will take, say, a span of like a month, maybe 3 weeks to a month and above. And that's when the FIFA rankings usually...
I beg your pardon. These results are gotten after the international break. At the international break, of course, you get your points. You get to garner your point with the team you played, how you performed, the result, the outcome. That's how these points are gathered. So I really think results play a huge role in your standings.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. Results play a huge role in the standings. But like I said, it's just 2 matches. And many times with what we've observed over the years for the FIFA rankings, 2 matches, it's not usually a lot to impact the standings.
But it was a lot to impact the standings of Tunisia. They moved 5 places. It was a lot to impact the standing of Algeria. They moved 5 places.
You also need to consider the teams they played. That's why I say the teams they played. I mean, I'm not exactly sure I can remember who Kenya played for them to have been one of the highest climbers, but I'm sure that the team they played did play an impact in that. Like I said, for many of the big nations, it's always about the team you play or how many points you can accrue in that period of time. I don't think 2 games is really enough to shake up the rankings.
All right. I'm really certain that Kenya, the reason why they moved 6 places up, Kenya have not played a competitive game for a long time, even after their ban. They are just coming up from a ban from FIFA. So having to win one of the games is something good enough for Kenya to go up the ranking 6 places. So that should be fair enough from FIFA's judgment.
Absolutely, totally agree with you on that. Kenya, they've been out of it for a while. Coming up, like I said, it's a lowly ranked nation coming back and getting a necessary win is actually huge for their football. So many times we don't get to see these rankings in just one or two matches. It's usually the lowly ranked teams that get those big climbs in times like this. But when these rankings really do get shaked up is when we have the major competitions.
All right, let's move away from that conversation there. But tell you that FIFA competition is on. The FIFA Women's Under-20 World Cup is on, and we've got semi-final results already done. So Japan, the young Nedashikos are into the final of the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Remember, the young Nedashikos did knock out Nigeria Falconets in the round of 16, and right now they beat Netherlands 2-0 and have gotten their ticket to the final of this competition. We await what this nation will bring to the fore for the final of the competition. All right, moving away from that, we still have Judechi Chidieze joining us via Zoom, so he will join us in the conversation going forward. We've got the CAF Champions League where Confederation Cup, but Nigeria's representative, Enyimba FC, on Wednesday, they arrived Uyo to begin training preparations for the return leg of the CAF Confederation Cup clash with Etoile Filante this weekend. So the People's Elephant will engage their opponents, Ouagadougou of Burkina Faso, this weekend in the winner must emerge encounter, because they went goalless in the first encounter. The first leg preliminary round ended goalless for them in Bamako. So the game is expected to hold at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on Sunday. All right, what do you expect from this game, Chidieze? Because we've got Rangers too. Rangers went with a 1-0 advantage in their first game, but they will have to miss one star, Onyedikachi Okafor, when they have to face Esperanza this weekend. So for Enyimba, they've got winner must emerge. At all costs, they must get the win. For the Flying Antelopes, Rangers, they must not lose guard. They must make sure that they get to the next stage of this competition for the CAF Champions League. So CAF Champions League and CAF Confederation Cup ties for two Nigerian sides for the weekend. So what are you looking forward to? Both teams, what do they have to do?
I mean, the first question you asked me is, what do I expect? And I want to ask you back, is there any other thing to expect but the victory for these two teams? I mean, we've had already Remo Stars get knocked out of the competition. We've had El Kanemi Warriors get knocked out of the competition. We have an Enyimba that got a bye to this stage of the competition. And with the new arrangement for the CAF competitions, you get to play only 2 qualifying matches to get into the group stages. Rangers and Remo Stars, I mean, every other person aside from Enyimba got 2 matches, 2 rounds of matches. For Enyimba, they get only 1 round of match to play before they get into the group stage. I think it should be pretty simple for these two teams what the assignment is. There's nothing else but win. If I would say the tough game is for any of the teams, it's for Remo Stars, who got knocked out of the competition in the last stage of the competition. Rangers have had very easy opponents. Surprisingly, they couldn't whitewash the last team they played. Played 1-0 in Uyo before playing. In fact, 2 games were in Uyo. Played 1-0 in Uyo before playing 1-1 in the second leg. And in their last match, yet again in Uyo, they played 1-0. I would have expected that they would have scored more in that one. But somehow 1-0 will take it. They go away from home, and the task is pretty simple. Just go there and get the necessary win.
Okay,
better still, just draw and get.
I would like to ask you, with the form these team have been possessing on the league, the Nigerian Premier Football League, do you think they can also, channel that same energy into the CAF competition? Because we'd see that Enyimba have been on good notes. They've been on a good note. They started on a good note for this season in the MPFL. But Rangers have been neither here or there, hot or cold. I remember talking to the coach of the side, Fidelis Lechiku. He says that they do not have their eye on the league title this time around. They have their eye to go further in the CAF Champions League. Do you think they can, if they bring the same energy they have brought to the league as it started, they can have their way? Enyimba, it might be good for them, but for Rangers, if they go with the same way to this CAF Champions League, I don't think they can hit their target. What do you think about their form from the MPFL?
I totally agree with you, Inyechi. Enyimba's form, sorry, not Enyimba, Rangers' form right now is so unsettling. It doesn't seem like the team we watched last season,
Yes, indeed.
struggling to score goals, struggling to win matches. I was really surprised by the opening game of the season. They drew goalless in Enugu. Also similar to what we've been seeing in the CAF Confederation, the CAF Champions League rather, where they really do struggle to score goals. All their matches has been just a single goal, either a goal to win the game or a goal in a draw, and it's just what it's been. And I will tell you the truth, just like you are, I am very well, let me not call it scared, but more like unsettled the way Rangers have been going about their business recently. I want to believe Fidelis Electrico is a very good tactician. I mean, he won the league last season. He's also come close in previous years. I want to believe this is a man that understands what it means to get the job done. The fact that they could not, say, blow away their opponents in their last matches is not enough reason to say they cannot go all the way to win, or rather all the way to make it to the group stages of this competition. I just want to believe this is more hope than going based on what we've seen in recent weeks. This is more hope on Rangers that they can actually get the job done. I mean, for Enyimba, on the other hand, they've been on a, say, pretty decent form. Good way to start the season. And I want to believe that they can also take that into the CAF Confederation Cup, also considering the team that they are playing is not a team you would put on the same level as Enyimba. I mean, these both sides are playing club sides.
Because those kind of teams are the teams that will draw you to the land, take you to the next.
I mean, we are talking about Enyimba, a two-time champion of the continent. They are playing a side that have
the
not
same
even they've not
Enyimba
even
that went goalless in the
what that
first leg
title
against
looks
this same team, and you think they'll come all out against them in the second leg? Yes, I know they're going to be playing. They're going to be playing on the home turf.
The good thing for Enyimba this time around is they are playing on the home turf. So let's expect something different from what we saw in the first leg. The first leg was more like not making any mistakes. I want to believe the second leg would be a mixture of going for the win and also not making mistakes. So yes, I would say for Enyimba, easy game. Rangers, I just want to hope that they can get the needed result.
All right, let's see if your predictions there come true. But I'll be hoping that these teams go all the way in the competition for the Confederation of African Football. All right, now it's time to talk about the UEFA Champions League. Chideze, of course, they long waited for the UEFA Champions League, and Nigerians were in action. A particular Nigerian was in action, Victor Olatunji. He had a great one, something to remember on his debut for the UEFA Champions League. But he has become the first Nigerian to score an assist on his UEFA Champions League debut, and he had to jump on the trend. I am chosen. Oh yes, he did say that. Who are you? For him to score this kind of a goal on his debut, of course he's the chosen one. The Zokoto-born striker, of course, has shown for Czech Republic side Sparta Praha against RB Salzburg of Austria for Wednesday night Champions League action. He's also the third African player to score an assist on his UEFA Champions League debut after Daniel Curzin in 2007 and Serge Aurier in 2015. Meanwhile, other games played saw Bologna goalkeeper save a last-minute one for the penalty there, an inspired performance from his Shakhtar counterpart ensured that their first ever meeting between these teams finished goalless. So Jamie Grittins also had a double from Sheo Garassi for Borussia Dortmund. Cool Sport ensured that the runners-up, they got off a winning start against Bruges. While we've got the England under-21 internationals striking twice in 11 minutes later on, the first deflected effort before a dazzling piece of individual brilliance doubled the lead for Borussia Dortmund. This reaway from that had a replay of the 2022-2023 final that finished in a stalemate, with neither side being able to break the deadlock in the game between Manchester City and Inter Milan. The first half saw chances from both ends. Erling Haaland shooting narrowly wide for Manchester City, and Marcus Thuram heavily involved in Inter's best opportunities. Though the hosts at the Etihad increased the pressure in the closing stages, the points were shared at the end of the day. Finally, we had Paulo Gazzaniga. His own goal denied Champions League debutant Girona a fine sport in Paris. Girona, the 14th Spanish club to play in the competition proper. As defender, they defended well all night, but they looked well set to keep last season's semi-finalist at bay. So those were the action from the UEFA Champions League. But all the games played, Chideze, which of them caught your fancy? Which of them got your attention the most?
It depends on which of the days you are asking, whether it was Tuesday night or Wednesday night, because very varied night. On Tuesday night, we had 29 goals from, I think that was 6 matches. And then on Wednesday night, we are having about, 16 goals or thereabouts. It was totally 2 different days. I would say
I'm telling you, I'm loving the new format of the UEFA Champions League because I would see goals pouring, baskets of goals.
Expectedly, and I think I said it earlier on the show some time back that this new format is going to have a lot of teams coming out to play because we get to see 8 teams qualify automatically to the next stage of the competition. And the 9th to the 24th team going into the playoff stages of the competition. And what it means is that if I win, say maybe I win about 5 matches and you win also 5 matches, it's going to come down to what? The goal difference. So it's going to come down to how well you were able to score, how well you were able to keep out your opponent. So one thing we are sure of seeing is teams trying to rake up as many goals as possible so that they can have a good goal difference when it comes down to saying these are the teams that make the cutoff and these are the teams that don't make the cutoff. So yeah, I totally agree. It's a good format that would provide a lot of good football for us. Although the players are complaining, but they are being paid to do this job. So yes, I think I've totally enjoyed a lot of the matches. One thing I can say for sure, what game did I not enjoy? Man City, Inter Milan last night.
That's the game I want you to talk about because I'm sorry to box in. I noticed that there were no push from the fans and the players were playing like they had no motivation. Though we heard Rodri talking about the choked up football calendar this season and hoping that players can strike. Do you think that played out in that encounter against Inter Milan yesterday?
I totally don't agree it has anything to do with that. It was simply a case of, we've seen Inter Milan doing so well in terms of defending. I would say I was surprised from Man City's point of view, the fact they could not actually get even at least a goal. We saw prior to the Man City Inter Milan game last night, we saw Bologna play their first Champions League game for the first time in a very long while. Bologna are the kind of team that you would expect will go into a match and come out with a goalless draw. Shakhtar missing a chance against Bologna. It's not the kind of game you would expect from a Man City Inter Milan. Come on. Man City are an outscoring, an all-scoring side, I need to say. It's not that kind of game you would expect. And also, the fact that the likes of Bayern had already laid the template a night earlier, scoring a lot of goals. The other teams that also played on the same night, scoring a lot of goals. You would have expected maybe every other team would continue in the same light. But I'm glad that we've seen 2 sides of the Champions League already, which means there's definitely more to come. If we think that this Champions League is going to be very predictable, I'm sure that the first 2 nights have showed us there are lots of things we would not be expecting.
All right, and we have been speaking to a sport journalist who joined us on the show, Chideze. Of course, Jidechi, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on here.
We'd love to have you more and more on the show.